Namaskar and a very good morning. Welcome to the audiocast from Kotak Securities. I'm your host and guide Anindya Banerjee. As risk sentiment is looking quite positive with Asian equity markets in the green, dollar index a bit soft, and oil prices around 91 on the Brent. So all of these three things should be positive for the Indian rupee. But interestingly, offshore dollar rupee is trading flat to slightly higher, 79, 66, 67 के आसपास spot. If that's where the spot opens, जब 9 o'clock the onshore market starts trading, so then the September futures will be starting around 79, 73, 74 के आसपास, which is going to be a slightly higher open. Now that's interesting because global cues are strongly positive for the Indian rupee. Now there are positive reports also emerging from Europe. क्योंकि European economies and Chinese economies, these two have been the major problem areas for the world economy. Now, agar the Chinese economy will take time to turn around, but Europe mein things were expected to become worse because of the energy crisis. But there are few positive reports which are emerging because of this government stepping in to help the consumers and businesses. उसके कारण हो सकता है कि inflation का जो impact है या price hike का जो impact है on consumers and businesses can be much lower than expected. Yes, it will take a toll on the fiscal health of governments, but the governments are always at a better position to absorb it than individual consumers or businesses. And we had seen that kind of a thing during the COVID के time में भी जब because of the lockdowns, there was a big question mark on the balance sheet of consumers and the businesses. It was the government which stepped in, and once they stepped in, the worst case scenario was averted and we saw a massive global rally. Now that doesn't mean that's exactly what is going to happen in Europe and also in UK, but it definitely there is a change of rhetoric. Because if you read the news reports and various kinds of commentaries which are coming out of Europe, even a week back it was all about doomsday, but now there are more hopeful articles which are coming out that inflation may peak sooner and the growth impact could be lower. But again, it's the entire Europe is not out of the woods, but this is definitely a positive development worth watching because there is substantial short position in European equity markets, in European currencies like the euro, the pound, etc. अगर थोड़ा सा भी sentiment improve होता है, we can see a massive short covering, which will spill over into the dollar index, and that will in turn spill over into the USD INR as well. So this is one global factor which we all need to watch, because financial markets they tend to overreact when there is a change in sentiment. When something new comes in, a new theme emerges, financial markets or currency markets, they tend to overreact. So keep that in mind. This is one theme you should pay close attention to. Now coming back to dollar rupee, as I said that the external cues are quite positive for the Indian rupee. Now we have to see how far the dollar rupee falls, क्योंकि अभी price action के हिसाब से 79.20 और 80-10 के बीच ये फंसा हुआ है for the past almost a month. So the support is around 79.20, 25 levels on the spot, which roughly translates around 79.30 levels on the September futures. Now there are a couple of trades or trading strategies which one can do. एक है कि you wait for a pull. If you're looking to use futures to trade, then you wait for the range extremes, which means if the dollar rupee pulls back towards 79.90 के आसपास, at least on the spot, 85.90, then you can look to short because your stop loss is above 80.10 on a spot basis, and closer to 79.30 or 25 levels on a spot basis you can attempt a buy, because again your stop loss is smaller. और जब तक ये range में है, selling options is advisable, like a straddle or a strangle. Now when you are shorting a straddle or a strangle, focus on weekly options, because monthly options take time to bleed. So weekly options bleed faster. For example, selling options like ये हफ्ता, the 16th expiring options is going to bleed fast, because today is Monday, and as the expiry approaches, the time value erodes quite faster, assuming the dollar rupee continues to be range bound. So shorting straddles, shorting strangles, or even iron flies. A lot of people also prefer iron flies because if in case this range breaks temporarily or permanently, you are not exposed to a margin call because the strategy is hedged. On an iron fly, your margin required is also like half of what you would pay on a ATM straddle. So iron fly is basically a strategy where you sell a straddle, an ATM straddle, and you buy a strangle. So it's a hedge strategy. So these trades can be done as well. So जब तक range bound है तब तक you can focus on shorting options. And if you're looking to trade futures, wait for range extremes. Just closer to 79.90 on a spot basis. That's roughly around 80 के आसपास on the September futures. You can look to short because your stop loss is going to be smaller. And similarly, closer to 79.30 के आसपास, you can go long because your stop loss will be smaller. In between, don't try to trade futures unless you are trying to do intraday scalping because your stop losses are quite far away on either side. Cross currencies में because of this positive news from Europe, हो सकता है कि we may see a kind of a range bound to a slight upward drift in the Euro INR or GBP INR because of the upward trend in the Euro dollar and GBP dollar. But we think it's largely going to be it's not going to be a smooth sail upward. It's going to be punctured by a lot of pullbacks along the way. So it's going to be a choppy market, the Euro INR and GBP INR. The trading opportunities will be largely intraday. So avoid taking overnight positions in these pairs. Focus on intraday trades on all three currency pairs. Yen INR can see selling at higher levels because yen mein it's about monetary policy divergence, where Bank of Japan is the only, or rather one of the few central banks in the world who are still easing monetary policy, and the only one in the developed circuit who is doing that. इसके लिए जो monetary policy diverges है उसके लिए yen can continue to be under pressure. So that's it, folks. This is Anindya Banerjee signing off. A fantastic day ahead.